Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new Ben 10 series. I don't actually have a name for this one yet. I just decided to spontaneously do this one because I've actually been planning to do this one for a good while, even before the series was being made. So, as you can see here, got a big ranking thing here from tiermaker.com, and it's actually a really good one. You could probably tell what I'm going to be doing right now, ranking the best aliens from the Ben 10 series. Originally, I was just going to do the originals, but we do see some reboot ones here. That's fine. The only one that's from the reboot that's not here is that new one that no one knows about because the special hasn't come out. And Rox and Squidstrictor are here. But you know what? That's going to spice things up a little bit. I'm fine with them. I count them. They're canon in my heart. A bunch of other tiers about this just wanted to also add like ultimate forms, enhanced versions, but I just wanted to focus on the regular aliens themselves. This tier was created by Tempestware. Thank you, Tempestware, for making the one that I really like, that doesn't have any of the unnecessary versions that would just add on to the video, so I love you. What's also good about this rank that this guy made is it's all in order. Every single alien is based on appearance. Like, it starts with Heat Blast and Wild Mutt, and we go all the way up to the reboot aliens. It seems like that once again Rox and Squidstrictor are exceptions. But you know what, that's fine. I like how it's all in order. I did change the ranks to numbers, no, to letters. Sorry, my brain fell out. Because originally, he had really good fancy terms like creatively used, underrated, but it's just like, I don't want to be too critical. I mean, I do, but not in the sense where I gotta use my big brain. Just to be like, alright, I think they're an S, but were they really creatively used? No, I just want to, some of them I'm just going to judge on appearance, some of them I'm just going to judge on their abilities, and their impression on me as a kid, because I watched through the entire series as a kid. Any episode that I missed was basically just Omniverse that I rewatched on Hulu. So that was fun, being able to watch technically new episodes of the original. So I just changed it to letters S, A, B, C, D, and fuck, go back. Just go back! Now that I've wasted enough time with this intro, let's begin. Alright, first off, we're starting by... Who's fucking driving a motorcycle out there this day and age? People want to cancel everything. Can we cancel motorcycles? Because they personally annoy me. No, let's just start. That's an 18-wheeler. They ain't a motorcycle. I gotta learn my vehicles. My mom's a trucker. I should know this. Anyway, let's start with Spike Spiegel, or I mean Heat Blast, who's voiced by Spike Spiegel, Stephen Blum, which already is great. Now, for a while I preferred the original, like, more lighter colored version, but the more I look at the Alien Force Omniverse version, I kinda like the darker rocks and the lighter flames. It has a nice contrast going on there. He didn't really have much going for him in his appearance, minus his skull head covered in flames. That was always cool. And his big hands, he got really big hands, but I suppose it was kind of the only other thing they could do to make him more unique. He was always the poster boy of the original series, and I guess you could say the entirety of the franchise almost. His powers, seemingly basic. He could shoot fire, he could absorb fire, but he was always creative with how the fire was used. He could fly with it, he could concentrate it to sort of... In Omniverse, I remember he was underwater and he concentrated fire in his fingers to create almost like a blowtorch sort of thing. I like that. And in the original series, it almost seemed like he was able to warp or go move with flames. I don't know what that was about. That was an idea that they just dropped, but it was still really fucking cool. Heat Blast got the attention that he deserved, so I'm gonna put him in S. Wild Mutt. Now, for a kid, I wasn't really a big fan of Wild Mutt, because to me there wasn't much to him. I can appreciate him more now, because I understand what Wild Mutt's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a feral animal. He's like a mix between a lion, a bear, a gorilla. He's like just purely feral, and that's why he doesn't speak. But I also kind of realized that with the infrared vision that he has, he can't normally see traditionally. He can kind of see through heat, which was always kind of cool, and it gave him his own little perk and added on to the feral nature. But at the same time, for the original series, he sometimes just ended up as the alien that Ben would sometimes just accidentally transform into. It felt like that he was kind of the one designated to that spot. I felt like there were just as many times Ben intentionally turned into Wild Mutt as there were times he accidentally turned into it, which that's kind of a shame, but I guess if you get new aliens that can do even better things, Wild Mutt kind of pales in comparison, so, jeez, I'm gonna put him in A, but I also want to put him in B. You know what? I also kind of debated on C a little bit, so I'll put him in B. Diamond Head. Now, he's the one, I was gonna say it right now, I feel like every big franchise has that character where it's just like, why isn't he the mascot? Like in Mickey Mouse, it's like Donald Duck, why isn't he the mascot? Because they just have so much more personality, they're just a lot more interesting, and Diamond Head is fucking cool. His entire body is made out of impervious diamonds. He's able to reflect projectiles like lasers and light, that's cool. He's able to morph his body, brings diamonds out of the ground. I just don't like his Alien Force redesign. I'm just gonna say it right now, I feel like Alien Force, while it had great design for the original stuff, for the returning stuff like characters and returning aliens, that's where the design looked the worst. He just looks like he's wearing his little footsie pajamas. Hey guys, I'm in my sleepover. I got my special Chromostone onesie pajamas. But overall, that's not gonna ruin it. One bad design isn't gonna ruin anything, and it's not even that bad. It's still Diamond Head. It's just, it literally looks like he cut the sleeves off of footy pajamas. I'm just gonna say it right now. It doesn't work. But anyway, let's see. I'm gonna put him in S. Accelerate. Now, for kids, he was just the fast alien that looked cool. But it wasn't just his legs that can move fast. It wasn't just him that can move fast. There were like a lot of points where he can move specific parts of his body fast. He had that visor thing that would go down. That was fucking cool. As I will say, he was unused a lot in, I would say, later iterations, especially Ultimate Alien that constantly advertised, hey, we're bringing back the old aliens, but you ain't getting Accelerate, you're getting this other guy. We'll go over him later. Him. His Accelerate was cool, he was utilized very well, and I love the little balls on his feet. That's just a little thing for me. He was just very uniquely designed. So I'm gonna put him in S2. I have a very... I'm not biased. Fuck off! Isn't that the neat point in these ranking things, though, to show your bias? And people don't like it when you have an opinion that disagrees with the general internet, though. And this is Gray Matter. Now, I'm sure a lot of kids didn't like Gray Matter at first, because he wasn't really that flashy. He was just small, really smart. I did like how he was able to climb on walls, jump around, how he sort of had the abilities of a frog. Maybe if he gave him like a long tongue so that he can make greater distances and based more of the physical abilities off of being a frog. Like, not make it so that he could fight, but give him more movement options so that he could easily escape. And that's the only reason he's not an S. Because he's great. I like Gray Matter now as an adult, but I still feel as if, since he's obviously based on a frog, there was probably more that they could have done with him. Like, you could have given him some more physical abilities that would still not necessarily give him a hand in combat, but would give him more use besides just he's small and got a big brain. Also, I like the sideways eyelids. Those were always kind of fun. Anyway, I'm gonna put him in A. Forearms. Motherfucking forearms. Just really big, strong dude with huge muscles, and he could crush your skull with one hand if he wanted to. He could crush 4 skulls with his forearms. Gee, it's almost as if that's the whole reason they called him Forearms. He was always pretty badass. I like how he could clap his hands and make a sonic wave. I always loved the things that Forearms could do. But at the same time, I feel as if he still kind of paled a little bit, because I feel as if there was still some more that he could have done. It just felt like he was just designated to one spot, the strong alien. And the original series was great for having aliens have multi-purpose, but it's hard to really find more than one purpose for Forearms. I'm sure there is one that I'm probably just not remembering, but for that reason, I'm gonna have to just put him in A. He's great for what he is, but I feel as if there's more potential to him. Stinkfly. I like Stinkfly. I like how he's one of the weird-looking aliens. I don't like how in the reboot they made him look more humanoid and give him a cool voice. Like, that's not the idea of Stinkfly. He's supposed to be gross. He's supposed to be fucking disgusting. And here you are just making him normal and probably giving him like a more boring design. Stinkfly is able to fly around, but if his wings get wet, he can't fly. He's got a nice little pincer on his tail. I know it's a stinger. And he didn't really utilize it that much. He only used it like 2 or 3 times in the original series. And he could also shoot goop out of his eyes and his mouth. That would be very flammable, but also very sticky. It was multi-purpose on its own. But a lot of the time, Stinkfly was just designated to be the flying alien. And as a kid, I didn't really like seeing him either. I don't know what it was, but as a kid I didn't like seeing Stinkfly. I felt as if he wasn't as interesting. Maybe I was more into the cool looking aliens, but as an adult, I like both now. Just as long as their designs are actually interesting. So for that reason I'm going to put him in B as well. And a lot of the original series is pretty high rank. I'm not biased. Ripjaws. I feel as if he is very limited in what he can do. Like, Ripjaws he's only really useful in water. If he's not in water, he starts suffocating and he dies because he's a freaking fish. And also, but he is really cool with his long claws and his jaw that just unhinges. That's some gnarly ass shit right there. But I feel like they could have done something a little more with him. Like, maybe, I don't know, give him something that can allow him to breathe on land, even for just a short amount of time. Like, maybe, I'm not sure if the Omnitrix is even capable of doing this, creating, like, water tanks that could go around his neck, and maybe give him some kind of water-based ability, like being able to shoot water like Heat Blast is able to shoot fire. Because I'm sure that would have made kids love him even more. But as is, I think Ripjaws, and I love his design, I like his big jaw, but I'm gonna have to, I have to, so people don't call me, but I mean so I can be fair, Upgrade. Now, for the longest time, when I was a little kid, Upgrade was my favorite. I love his design, mainly in the original series. I don't like the only green and black that they go for in later iterations. The purple one in the reboot's okay, because they try to keep his shape, but the idea of Upgrade is that he's able to phase into technology and literally upgrade him to better versions. It's true, in some cases people would argue that Upgrade is very situational, but he was also able to shoot lasers that they didn't really utilize that much, honestly. And also, he was like a goopy man. You couldn't really hit him, he was a goopy man. He was goop and metal. How the hell can you be both? I don't know, doesn't make any sense. Who cares, he's an alien, move on. Put him in A. Ghost Freak. The other alien voiced by Stephen Bloom. And I love Ghost Freak. At the time, Nickelodeon had Danny Phantom, so it felt like Ghost Freak was kind of Cartoon Network's answer to Danny Phantom, but except he actually looked like a ghost. He was actually more crazy looking. He could phase through walls, turn invisible, possess people, and he had fucking Tim Burton tentacles. Those looked cool as hell, alright? Those just looked fucking awesome. But I will say this, I don't like his design in Omniverse. And in Alien Force, they had an episode where Ben actually absorbed the original Ghost Freak again, and they made it seem like, well, Ben's now able to turn into this cooler looking version of Ghost Freak. Because let's be honest, Zescare looks way cooler than Ghost Freak. And as kids, we all wanted Ben to turn into Zescare, even though he wouldn't really be used in the sun. I liked how in the reboot they introduced a Ghost Freak alien who was able to take off his skin and take it and put it back on whenever he wanted to. That was cool. I feel as if that should be the basis of a new Ghost Freak transformation. Like, Ben can take off the skin and become a more powerful version, but he can't be in the sunlight. And like, an upgraded version of the alien would be very situational, but it's more appropriate for the transformed version of that already existing alien to be situational. Because it's a more power, it's like a buff, you know? It's gotta have some kind of drawback. But that's what really just, I really want to put him in S, but that whole thing with Alien Force and how they never let Ben turn into Zescare and just kept him as like regular Ghost Freak despite the capabilities Zescare has. It's just, I gotta put him in A. Alright, that's it for the first 10 aliens. Now we got Cannonball. Put him in S. Put him in S. I'm sorry. I'm not biased, but I just gotta explain myself. Cannonball can roll in a ball. I love that alone. That you made an entire character and his abilities rolling into a ball. He's extremely defensive, he's got a cool design. I love nearly everything about Cannonball. I don't like how in later iterations they just put the Omnitrix symbol on his stomach. I mean, it's probably a better place, but I liked it when it was on his head. I like it when the aliens have Omnitrix symbol placements that are just all over the place. Like, it could be on their hand, it could be on their head, it could be on their back, it could be on their shoulder. It seemed like the only rule that existed is that it had to be on at least the center or the left side of Ben's body, because that's the side the Omnitrix was on. And what the fuck was that? But overall, Cannonbolt's really great. I love the potential Cannonbolt had, and they used him pretty well until later iterations, and they kind of forgot that he could reflect stuff. Wildvine, he's just a plant man, and he can have grenades sort of like in the form of like, what are they, eggplant looking things? I like that. I like how he had little explosions coming out of his back. I like how Ben essentially got a stretchy alien, which is something he's been missing for a while. Upgrade could kind of stretch, but that was only to reach other technology. It was never really utilized as like a grappler, and it felt like Wildvine was that grappler. I remember the one thing that Wildvine, Heat Blast, and Accelerate have in common is that back when the original series was going, back when Wildvine was the newest alien and they were about to premiere Ben Wolf, they were doing a contest of who is the fan base's favorite alien. And it's like every week they would kind of go through the list and say, oh, this alien won this match between this alien. And I really thought that Heat Blast was going to win just because he was the original guy. And I didn't like the fact that Wildvine was very high up. I felt as if that people were only voting for him because he was the new one. But in the end, it was like the last 3 aliens were Heat Blast, Accelerate, and Wildvine. And despite everything, Accelerate pulled through. He was the winner of the contest, which really shocked me. It could be because I constantly refreshed the screen and clicked Accelerate over and over. I'm not biased. I like Wildvine. Now I've noticed as age goes on, I have more of an appreciation for these guys. Spitter! That's what he does, he goes... That was gross, I'm sorry. I think it just made someone throw up. I like Spitter, but I don't like the fact how he was one of the few Ben 10,000 aliens to not come back in Omniverse. That, and I just like Spitter. I like his design. It looks like a big old frog. His ability is pretty standard. I can understand why they didn't want to bring him back. But I would have loved to see him return just because you brought the other 2 back. You brought Boss Shock and Arctic Iguana, and you gave new designs to Toepig and Atomics. It's like, why couldn't you bring Spitter back? But then again, I also kind of get it in a way, but... And it didn't really feel like his potential was really used that much, so I gotta put him in C. Boss Shock. Boss Shock. Ben could turn into a megawatt now, and his capabilities were shooting electricity, controlling electricity, and literally just forming into electricity. I feel like if Ben was going to have an electric alien, that was the best way to do it. And the fact that they reused the megawatts and turned it into a transformation, I like that. I like that. As I don't know why in Omniverse they gave him a big jaw. I understand in the original series they kind of, some Ben 10 aliens would have like the jaw would go farther out, but it wasn't like a big chin. That was the weird thing. It was just a big lower jaw, not a big chin. He just looks like Omniverse version of Boss Shock looks like handsome Boss Shock. I'm gonna have to put him in B just because he wasn't used that much, unfortunately, and also his only real appearance was Omniverse minus 1 or 2 episodes, being the Ben 10,000 episodes of the original series. Arctic Iguana. I don't understand why Arctic Iguana was the one that was constantly brought back in Omniverse. I don't like how when young Ben, when he was inside the body of Teen Ben, turned into Arctic Iguana, it's like, somebody I can use. But she's like, you never used him. You only saw him for like 2 seconds. Don't think just because you named him means that you knew how to use the alien. You idiot. Dummy. Arctic Iguana, he can shoot ice out of his mouth and freeze things on the spot. That's pretty cool. But he didn't really have much more than, honestly, that. Just being able to do the one thing. Like, maybe if they made it so that, like, oh, he can survive lower temperatures. It's like, a cold breeze is warm to him. That'd be fine. Or maybe if they did something like, he has more than just ice. He also maybe has, like, a snow ability. Maybe he's better on ice. Maybe, like, he can make himself stable on ice or slide however he wants, like, change the texture of his feet. That'd be cool, but overall, he's just kind of one note. Especially since he used a lot in Omniverse. A lot of Omniverse aliens are very one note, so he's got to go in C. I like his design. Well, I like Spitters, and I put him in C, so... Also, how long have I been recording? 20 minutes. Jesus, I thought that'd be faster. Okay. Ben Wolf, or Wolf Blitzer? Blitzer Wolf? I forgot. He was only used once in the original series. All of the monster aliens were only used once in the original series, minus 1 cameo appearance for Ben Mummy or Snarrow in Ken 10, which is disappointing. They were used more in Omniverse, which makes me very happy. I like the idea of Ben Wolf. I like the fact that he has just the powers of a werewolf, supersonic, howls, and he was overall just a really cool idea. I wish they could have utilized him more in the original series. That's why he's not S. And also, let's see, I'm trying to debate. I'll put him in B. Snarrow. I liked Snarrow as a kid. I love his design. I actually had a toy of him. He was so goddamn flimsy because of his original design. But now that I think about it, his only real ability was using his bandages as sort of like a grappler. But Wildvine already covered the grappler. So that kind of made Snarrow a little pointless. And while they did bring him back in Omniverse a lot, they didn't really add much to him. Like, maybe if they added an alternate ability, like, in the episode the Mummy was introduced in, he put crystals inside of his chest. Maybe they could utilize something like that, like a whole plot device, like, oh, I had this inside me the entire time. But it literally kind of felt like he was a lesser Wildvine, which is disappointing. But I love his design. I also like that thing that they gave him, the mask looking thing inside Omniverse. But I also don't like the new voice where it kind of sounds like this. So he's going in C. Frankenstrike. He is big, he's badass, he's got that demon voice going on. You know the thing where you get like a regular recorded voice, copy that voice, and lower the pitch to have
sort of the evil monster voice going on. I like that. He can chew the electricity, he's got magnetism powers, and he was only utilized once in the original show. It's so disappointing because he was the coolest of the bunch.
In fact, that's the whole reason I kind of want to put him in A. Because he's just full of a lot of potential, but it wasn't used that much. Omniverse used him more, which makes me happy. I'm glad he was used more. I don't like how they gave him a monster voice. I wish they brought back his original voice and his gnarly looking hairstyle. That thing was cool. So, just because Omniverse kind of made him a little less cool, and he was only used once in the original series, I gotta put him in B. I was gonna put him in A, but then I remembered he wasn't utilized. The version I like isn't utilized that much. Only utilized like once. Upchuck. Upchuck, he eats, he goes boom! And he can't eat regular food. That was a thing that they introduced that they felt as if they needed to say. He can't eat regular food. Oh dear. I will say, looking at the concept art for Upchuck, the version we got was kind of one of the more boring looking versions in comparison. Don't get me wrong. Upchuck's design is really good. I like Upchuck's design, especially in the original series with the black and white suit. But also seeing what we almost could have gotten, it makes me a little disappointed. That's why I think I also gotta put him in B, just because of what we could have gotten. But at the same time, he didn't really have much of a function outside of eating and shooting lasers. But then again, I guess they didn't have enough time to really utilize him since he was used in the last episode of Season 3, and Season 4 was kind of his only time to really be used. Man, were they trying, though. Ditto. He was basically the force of Season... He was basically the face of Season 4. If you see, like, DVD covers, he was pretty much prominently on there. He's pretty much just an animaniac. Like, they got Rob Paulson to voice him. He's got the same voice. He's got the same personality. How him and his little duplicates bicker over each other like Yakko, Wacko, and Dot do. He's basically just alien animaniac, and I almost kind of feel like they made him just so they can meet Rob Paulson. Which is fine. I like the idea that he's designed in a very cartoony way. I really do like that. I don't like how they made him more cat-like in Omniverse and made him smaller, because I feel like that was the thing that separated him and Ditto. I mean, Echo, is the height difference. And Echo already had a unique ability, so it's just pretty much like Echo, Omniverse version of them both. Echo is just pretty much the same as Ditto, but more useful. But that was kind of always the case, though, but I don't know. I feel like you could have made him more, like, react to stuff cartoony. So that's why I think Ditto's gotta go in B, just because I like him. But I do feel as if they could use more advantage if they inspired him off the Animaniacs, which I'm sorry, you cannot tell me he wasn't just an Animaniac alien. Look at him. You put Yakko and Ditto next to each other, look at them, they're the same. Same voice actor too. Coincidence? I think not. Now we got Eye-Guy. Eye-Guy was introduced in like an alternate version of Ben 10, Secret of the Omnitrix. He was used for an alternate intro. They had 3 versions, the first with Heat Blast, another with Accelerate, and then they introduced Eye-Guy in one of them. But he was utilized in Season 4 too, in Ben 10 vs. the Negative 10 Part 2. He could shoot lasers from his eyes, and he could see in multiple directions just because his body is covered in them. But in the Negative 10, it was that early that they were showing that Eye-Guy's lasers could shoot more than just regular lasers. He could also do ice. So that let us wonder, like, what other elements can he shoot? He was pretty much like the ranged projectile alien. His heat probably wouldn't be as strong as Heat Blast, but it was nice that they added this much variety, and I love his design. They did make him shoot fire in Omniverse, which made sense, because I guess they thought like, oh, he could shoot ice too? Oh, let's make him shoot fire. He's basically the projectile alien. And he was perfect for that. So, I'm gonna put him, oh jeez. I actually want to put him in S, but yeah, let's put him in S. Way big. Everyone loves way big. I'm okay with him. To me, he was just really big alien, and it wasn't really that much to him. He was very grand, and even as a kid, I understood why they revealed him for the movie, because it was like, the movie was near its end, it was at its climax, and if they're going to show a new alien, it's got to be someone big who Ben couldn't really use in any other scenario. So it made sense. I am glad that later iterations like Ultimate Alien and Omniverse gave him his big giant fucking laser. That made him more interesting. But overall, way big just doesn't really do it for me as much. I can appreciate him, and I guess that's all they could really do for him, besides make a giant Godzilla-like monster. And come to think, I was gonna put him at A, but then I just thought if Ben could have turned into a Godzilla instead of just an Ultraman, you know what? I'm putting him in B. That's what you get for not being Godzilla, I guess. You could have even been King Kong, but no, he decided to go for Ultraman. Now we're at the Alien Force aliens, starting with Swamp Fire. Swamp Fire, many people would say, is just a mix between Heat Blast and Wildvine. And in many ways, I agree. But Swamp Fire, he's able to regenerate, he's able to shoot seeds that bring vines out of the ground, and just having an alien that's a mix between both elements could probably lead to a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if they really utilized the mix between plant and fire, because my memory of Alien Force is a little iffy. But even at that point in time, I even saw like, yeah, he has stuff that separates him from both, but there isn't that much to separate him from both. And to me, he shouldn't have been the face of Alien Force. Someone like Big Chill or Humongosaur should have been the face of Alien Force. Just for the fact that he was the face of Alien Force makes me put him at a lower rank, and I'm gonna put him at C. I'm sorry, he doesn't do it for me. Echo. Now, I haven't put a single one in D or F. That's because all of the older ones were pretty great. The more meh ones would be introduced later in time. Also, I'm not as negative as some people would believe. I complain a lot on Twitter, but I'm not that negative, people, okay? Calm down. Anyway, moving on. Echo. He can multiply like Ditto, but the duplicates can be destroyed, and he can shoot sonic waves out of his mouth, so he was pretty much a better Ditto. I did like his version in the original series. I don't like his weird bulging eyes in Omniverse. If you just gave him regular eyes, like he had in Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, his design in that show would have been so great. And to me, Omniverse is great design. I love the art style, I love the character design. Not all of them are perfect. This is one of the few ones, and it's just literally because of the eyes, where the Alien Force version is better. So, let's see. He's more useful than... I wouldn't say he's S rank, but he's definitely not B since Ditto is there. So I'm going to put him at A. Humongosaur. Big dinosaur man. Me big dinosaur man. I grow really big and I punch stuff really hard. This guy was cool. You could say, oh, he's just a strong alien. Okay, yeah. Later iterations like Omniverse and the reboot don't really acknowledge the fact that he can literally grow into a Godzilla monster if he wanted to. I do feel as if that the reboot also added a cool thing with his tail, how they put that ball and spikes on it, make it so he can create sort of like mini earthquakes. That was cool too. And for me, that kind of saves Humongosaur from being just A. So I'm going to put him at S. Jet Ray. You know I love Jet Ray. I named my very first YouTube channel off of Jet Ray 102. And for a while I just called myself Jet Ray. Originally, the channel was going to be named after Goop. But even as a kid, I didn't think it was a good idea because it was just one syllable. Just Goop 102 versus Jet Ray 102. Didn't really... You can understand. Jet Ray, he can fly around, he can even go underwater. He is very multi-purpose, and he can shoot lasers from his eyes and tail. He was very multi-purpose. He could be on the land, the sky, and even underwater. I can understand why the reboot brought him back. I love Jet Ray. He's very... I can't really name much I don't like about him. Visually, he's not that interesting. I will say that. Visually, he's pretty meh. I'll put him... I'll put him in S. Okay, there's gonna be a lot of these in S, because most of them are pretty good. Speaking of which, Big Chill. Big Chill, he can fly, he can't go into water, but he can turn intangible. and he can shoot ice and freeze things. I like that. I also like how he has that hooded version. It makes him look almost like a cult member. Like, I like his design when he's hooded more than when he's not hooded. I do feel as if Omniverse kind of didn't get the memo and made his body too big for that hooded version to work. Like, I don't know what they were thinking with making his body fucking massive. It would work, especially since they don't really show the hooded version in Omniverse that much, but the few times they do, it's just like, dude, what are you hiding? You're fucking massive. You can't hide shit. I'm gonna put Big Chill in S. I like him. Chromostone. He can absorb little buckaroo, I'm gonna pee in your cereal. Or I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna vor you non-consensually. Anyway, Chromostone. He can absorb energy and shoot lasers. And that's kind of cool. He's got a cool design too, and he's very durable. But that's kind of all he's got. I don't really feel it's like there's a lot of aliens that can already absorb matter and shoot him out, like Upchuck, you got Edel, you got Feedback. And it's just out of all of those, minus Edel, Chromostone is like the second least interesting. And I don't like the whole plot device, you killed Chromostone, so that means Diamond Head was back. That alone, just, even as a kid. It was great to see Diamond Head back, but even as a kid, I was just like, what the fuck? So I'm gonna put him in C. Deal with it. Brainstorm. He is smart, but he's actually able to fight. He has the brain of a supercomputer. He can make super precise calculations. I like his voice in both versions. He sounds very suave, and he can shoot electricity from his brain. He wasn't that combat oriented though. I can't really. It was sometimes hard to see them do really fun movement stuff with him. He wasn't really made for movement. He was more or less meant to be like almost a tank in a way, where he was always meant to be very stationary, use his brains and his electricity range. I like Brainstorm, I do, but even at the same time, I can't really see my... I'll put him in A. Spider Monkey. We've got some opinions going on here. I don't like Spider Monkey. He's the only one in Alien Force I don't really like. His idea is that he is a monkey and he can shoot spider webs. And that's cool, but why did you have to go for like such a standard design? You could have done something really cool with that idea. Really fucking gnarly, dude. I mean, really fucking crazy. People got mad at the reboot for making aliens that were just fitting toy models, but I'm sorry, I don't like Ben 10 Alien Force's form of design. How every alien had to have the Omnitrix on their chest. How every alien had to have green eyes. But they couldn't have the fun clothing that the originals did. And the designs were always not as interesting. Spider Monkey, I'm sorry to all Spider Monkey fans, but he's the first one that's gonna go in D. Go away. What kind of monkey is he? Is he a capuchin? Is he a macaque? How the fuck is he supposed to be? I don't like him. Ah! Anyway, Goop. I like Goop. I've always wanted Ben to just turn into a goop. And I know that sounds very vague, but if you were a kid back then, you would understand. He's a goopy man. But there wasn't really that much. Actually, yeah, there was a lot to him. They made it say he could be acid-like, he could spread himself throughout other bodies of water. He can fly around almost with his anti-gravity device. And you know what? He was pretty good. There aren't that many weaknesses to him either, minus if you grab his gravity device and turn it off. Which I guess just anyone could do. Because Ben just decided to jump up when Vilgax turned into Goop. And just, yoink, it's mine now. But I wouldn't even say that's that much of a weakness, considering that with how fast Goop is, he probably could have escaped if Vilgax knew how to really use him. That was a bad episode, by the way. I'm gonna put Goop. I'm gonna put him in S, because I like Goop. Going on. Alien X. You're all gonna be very mad at me. I don't like Alien X. He wasn't really used all that much, and a few times it was very obvious, because like, oh, it's fate of the world now, we gotta use Alien X, and they never could. It would always just become a bore just seeing Ben talk to the other two personalities, just so he could do one fucking thing. I feel as if Alien X really screwed up the series. Ben shouldn't have been able to turn into a god, not this early anyway. That's maybe something he could have been able to do, like, near the end of Omniverse. And I understand people are like, oh, but they balanced him out. Ben couldn't even use him that much. But the thing was, even for Ben not being able to truly utilize his power until much later, the fact that he had an alien that could just restore the entire dimension with just a snap of his fingers, he could like reverse Thanos, if you will, it just kind of removed all of the tension, you know? It's just like, as soon as you give a transformation that's literally just a god, I feel like there's not much you could do with him. Am I saying you can't tell big stories with Alien X? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, like, the tension kind of went down after Alien X was introduced. Even though Ben didn't have full control. It's just, hey, Ben still can turn into him whenever he wanted. He just couldn't utilize his power. And the fact that he was just there the entire time, it just made me, I don't know. Alien X was cool for an idea, but I feel as if story-wise he doesn't really work that well. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be pissed off at me. But D, I don't like Alien X. Get out of here, you. Lodestar. He was the first new alien that came after the original 10 of Alien Force, and he was okay. He had magnetism powers, which Frankenstrike already kind of had. I just realized, did I even refer to him as Frankenstrike or Ben Victor the entire time I was talking about him? I'm gonna look back at the footage. I'm gonna feel real stupid if I was calling him like Ben Mummy or something. Anyway, Lodestar, he was very one note, unfortunately. There wasn't really much you could do with him. Maybe if you could make him fly by reversing the magnetic fields, or making it so he could detach his body parts. Like, his head is clearly made out of metal, as you can see in this shot, and maybe you could use his limbs as projectiles. But I feel as if he's very one note. I'm sorry, I don't really like Lodestar that much, and they could have done so much more with him. He would be one of my favorites, but Frankenstrike already had magnetism powers, and he's very one note, so D. Nanomech. He's very small. You can't even see him, alright? And he can fly, and I guess he could shoot little sparks of energy. He was very situational, but he was cool for the movie. He allowed us to have a giant CGI action fight, even though the action fight itself was super small. He was made specifically for the live-action movie Ben 10 Alien Swarm, and he was brought back multiple occasions for Ultimate Alien and Omniverse. I like his Omniverse design, but I don't really know what else. Like, maybe if they gave him more capabilities, like being able to rewire certain things using like electrical abilities. I feel as if that Nanomech has a lot of potential, and for that reason I gotta put him, I like his design though. I'll put him in C. Wrath. Everybody loves Wrath. He's big, he's mean, he's voiced by Jake the Dog. He's voiced by John DiMaggio. What's his name? John DiMaggio? I'm gonna feel real stupid. God damn it. I love just hearing him, I love just hearing him rant. I love him going on a rampage. He's just a spectacle alien, even though he doesn't even have that many flashy abilities. He doesn't shoot lasers. He doesn't have sonic waves. He doesn't have nothing. He's just big and he's mean. And the fact that you were able to get people to love him just for that, even the reboot version understood that, even though his voice wasn't as interesting. Just the fact that you had an alien that had not much visually going on with him for his abilities, and you made people love him just because of his personality. That deserves S, alright? I'm just gonna say it. That deserves S. Water Hazard. Finally, after all these years, after like 5 fucking years, Ben has finally got an alien that can shoot water. I love his almost robotic design. He looks like he's a guy wearing a hood, but he also looks like he's wearing some kind of scuba diver thing. I don't know word. This is why I do scripts. He can shoot water, and he can also absorb moisture in the air. They tried to make him multi-purpose in the few times that he was seen. I do wish they brought him back in the reboot instead of Overflow, and just gave him Overflow's extra abilities. And we'll go over Overflow soon. Water Hazard is pretty great though. I could see this guy being voiced by fucking Steve Bloom. Why'd I forget his name? I for some reason I always just want to call him Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Goodness gravy. I'm gonna put him. Do I really want to put him in S though? I'll put him in S. Amphibian. He's got electricity powers, but the problem is Buzzshock and Frankenstrike already had that, and Brainstorm too. And I think he can go underwater, but that's not really enough to separate him. I think out of the 5 new aliens of Ultimate Alien, he was the weakest. I'm gonna put him in D. Armadillo. He literally had, they weren't even really drills. They were more like pounders that were used as drills. If maybe they gave him the capability to transform his hands, or do different things with his hands, like go from like a jackhammer, to a drill, that'd be pretty fucking cool. And also he's more robotic in design, which I never really liked robotic aliens. But overall, he's fine. I just wish he had more of an interesting design. and also a bit more of an explanation of his abilities. So I'm going to put him in B. Terror Spin. My lips just smacked. I probably were doing that the entire time. I hope not. He can fly around, he can shoot wind from his belly, and I like how what he can do with his limbs, how they just rotate whenever he needs to fly. I can't imagine how that works, but he's a turtle. I don't need to know what's going on in that show. Just look up turtle without shell on Google Images, and you'll be surprised. And the fact that he was like a peaceful alien, his species is anyway, like cannon bolts. And he, even like the version that Ben got his transformation from, was able to find a way to use his abilities for combat. That was cool. Also, by the way, in that jailbreak episode, there was like a moment where he saw the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. And that was a huge error. How'd that go through? I'd have to wonder that one. But anyway, I'm going to put him in A. NRG. NRG, I love his design. I know I just said I don't like robotic aliens, but he's an exception. He's not really a robot. This is armor. He can shoot literal beams of radiation, and the reason he has that suit is because of radiation. I know later in the series, in Omniverse especially, he was able to release himself from the cage and just go all radiation form. That was fucking cool. The fact that Ben had an entire alien based on irradiation, and they balanced him so well because they think, oh, he's way too overpowered. No, he's slow, he's clumsy, he's not that fast. He's pretty much a tank, like a very dangerous tank. A tank of radiation. He's going in S. Fast Track, fuck go back. I'm sorry to all Fast Track fans, the whole 3 Fast Track fans. Here's the thing. There were multiple commercials and trailers, and I don't know if like the people behind the show actually had this as an idea, and perhaps maybe like the people behind the marketing just saw that Forearms came back and they're like, oh, they're bringing back all the old aliens. But all these commercials kept saying, Ben's aliens are all gonna come back, every single one of them. And it was just like, rarely did they ever do that. Like Ripjaws appeared like once and he didn't even speak. And here was the weird thing too, they were starting to introduce aliens that already had the same ability as already existing aliens. Like Fast Track, he's fast, it's all he's got. He took Accelerate's thing and it was more of a bland version and he just looks like an X-Men reject. It's just like, you were telling us you were going to bring back all of the aliens, but instead of bringing back Accelerate during the time you should have, you just replaced him with X-Men reject. He wasn't even that interesting, he didn't even run cool. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people understand why he's the first contender for Fuck Go Back. This, and trust me, you're going to see more in Fuck Go Back. This is the point where you're going to see a bit more. Then there's Chameleon, which confused me as a kid because when the episode came out, he was like, hey Kevin, check it out, and he shouted Overkill. So that made me think his name was Overkill, but no, his name is Chameleon. And that's, you should have went for Overkill even if it didn't really make much sense. Because Chameleon just sounds stupid. With the others you could get it, it sounds like it makes more sense, like Humongosaur. Oh, that rolls off the tongue nicer. Forearms. Let's see. Upchuck. Names that are way better. Chameleon feels like a forced pun. I get it. It's chameleon, but it doesn't roll off the tongue as nice. His abilities were pretty much go invisible and stick to walls. But you know how many aliens have that ability? Like Ghost Freak was able to turn invisible. I can't remember if Big Chill was able to go invisible. I'm pretty sure it was alluded that he could. And sticking to walls. Spider Monkey could do that. Goop could do that. And I'm sure in some instances, let's see, Gray Matter could do that. It just felt like he didn't add that much. And he was just there to be like, hey, we got a chameleon alien. We got one. We got a lizard. If they gave him something like a longer tongue or utilize some other chameleon-like abilities. Or, I don't know, give him something else. For that reason, I don't want him to be there, but I'm going to have to put him in Fuck Go Back just because he adds literally nothing. Listen, I kind of want him to be in D also, but I'm going to put him there. Eatle. Fuck Go Back. Same thing with Fast Track. The difference is, though, there was no reason. Like, Accelerate didn't come back. Okay, you could say that's why they added Fast Track, even though they advertised that old aliens would be coming back. But Upchuck was already in by Alien Force. He was already in the lineup before Ultimate Alien even premiered. There was no need to create a new Upchuck who had less capabilities. Eatle couldn't stretch his tongue out. He had to actually be there, tear the thing apart, and slowly consume it, and then shoot a very precise laser from his brain. And also, Eatle? Really? Yeah, this is when they were kind of recycling ideas and hoping that no one would notice, or making aliens that weren't that interesting. Now, out of the new aliens in Ultimate Alien, I'd say Clockwork is my favorite. Clockwork has time-based abilities, but he's not specifically just meant to be a time traveler. He can slow down time, he can rewind memories, but they never portrayed him as anything more than that, you know, and that's what I like. I didn't want him to be just time traveling, because you know how overpowered that would be? It's being like, oh, I'm dealing with a threat, go back to when he was born and bash his brain in. But they never really did that, unless it was like a super enhanced version that would only appear like once. And also I like his accent. I like aliens that had accents. That's also why I liked NRG in Brainstorm. So I'm gonna put him in B. Shock Squatch. He had a much cooler design in the Generator Rex crossover, but his Omniverse version just doesn't really do it for me. He gave him a Canadian accent too, which, like I said, I like it when aliens had accents. It just added more diversity to them. Shock Squatch, he was able to shoot electricity, but there were already a lot of aliens that could do that. Frankenstrike, Buzz Shock. He didn't really have that much to him, but it was already pretty cool. I still kind of like his newer design, even if I prefer that crossover design. Let's put him in C. Jury Rig. I do kind of like his personality, how he's all crazy, and I feel as if that's the only reason he's not in Fuck Go Back. I'm putting him in D, because his thing is rearranging technology, rebuilding it, repairing it, and so it's just a slower upgrade. Upgrade pretty much had the technology thing down. We didn't... I mean, I'm sure many people could argue, like, oh, but Jury Rig is more useful in this regards, like, in a very specific way, maybe. But that was not really a reason to justify his existence. Alright, now we're in the Omniverse aliens. This is where a couple of the Fuck Go Backs are going to be in. Feedback. He's probably the best out of this entire lineup. I'm just going to say it right now. Feedback is able to absorb energy and shoot it right back out. Not that interesting, but at the same time, I do like the story that they gave him, how he was apparently one of Ben's original aliens, but because of how he lost him, he never wanted to speak about him again. But that was one weird thing that confused me, though, because how Ben lost Feedback would only apply to that specific Omnitrix. And when Azimuth came in and took the Ultimatrix, he gave him an improved version of the Omnitrix. So wouldn't that mean that Feedback would, by default, be in that new Omnitrix? Like, his lineup wouldn't just be depending on the original Omnitrix's library. I'm sure Azimuth probably has a library saved and stored. So, for him being like, oh, Feedback's back, but it's just like, this is a different Omnitrix, that doesn't make any sense. But you know what, one little problem in the story isn't gonna go ahead and put him any lower. I'm gonna put him in S. Blocks. Just pretty much, hey, make a toy out of me. Make a toy out of me. I'm a big Lego gorilla. Collaborate with Lego. Make a toy out of me. They really wanted to make a toy out of this guy. He was just pretty much, and he even gave him plastic noises. It's just, if he was like more metallic and his idea was that he was morphing metal, that's a big truck, by the way. Speaking of big metal, if his ability was about morphing metal, if they gave him like a silver and black design and made it and gave him like ding noises when he was hit, that would be way better. But the only reason I don't want to give him the Fuck Go Back section is because he was actually used in pretty fun ways. He was obviously meant to be a more playful alien anyway, but even so, you could have done a lot better. You could have still collaborated with Lego and made him metal-based. I don't think anyone's really gonna care. Grav Attack. Ben finally got a gravity alien, and I like him. He's a big, walking asteroid. He can literally morph into an asteroid and has his own gravitational orbit. I love Grav Attack. Though sometimes gravity abilities, dangerous thing about them is that they can sometimes just slowly turn into telekinesis. But you know what? Ben didn't have a telekinetic alien, so that's fine. Or at least one specifically that's meant to be telekinesis. I would put him lower if that was the case, but you know what? I don't have any problem with Grav Attack. Put him in S. Crash Hopper. I'm sorry, he's not that interesting to me. He can jump really big and has powerful feet. You got aliens that can literally fly, why do you need this? I can't really think of a situation where Ben would need to go specifically just Crash Hopper. I do like his voice and how he acts all crazy and stuff, but that's the only thing. I gotta put him in D. I'm sorry. Ball Weevil. His design isn't that much, but you know what? He's fun. I like how he's kind of like a callback to the grosser aliens, where he just has to a ball and roll on it, and it explodes. I like that. But at the same time, Ball Weevil didn't really have that much for a visual design. It could have made him more gross looking. I understand the reasoning. Not the reasoning. I understand the idea. He's supposed to be like a small bug. And you know what? I like that. They gave him more size differences in his forms. So, Ball Weevil, I'm going to put him in B. I'm going to put him in A, just because he's a callback to gross stuff. Walker Trout, fuck, go back. This guy was literally just introduced as a joke alien, and every single time Ben turned into him, it was either for a joke, or, oops, he turned into the wrong alien again. He added nothing to the series. He's just a walking joke. The others that were made for jokes at least had some kind of ability. His ability is being slippery. That's it. Pesky dust. Puts people to sleep and makes them have fucked up dreams and goes into their mind. Cool idea on paper. Don't like how he's just a fairy. And it's like, I wouldn't even mind if he was based on a fairy, but he's just distinctly a fairy. There's no going around that. That's not an alien fairy, that's just a fairy. Also, being able to put people to sleep is, I feel as if it's dangerously close to overpowered. But then again, he doesn't really seem to have that much combat potential with throwing punches and stuff. But I still gotta put him, I still like the dream aspect though. I'll put him in D. Mustache. He can extend his mustache for powerful punches. That's it. That's all he could do. He was more utilized when he got the little goop guy was Skurd, right? I haven't seen Omniverse in a little bit, and Skurd didn't really do it for me. He was more useful with Skurd, and I'm glad they figure out more things to do with Mustache because of it. But if you needed another alien to be attached to Ben to make him more interesting, to me that just kind of shows that there wasn't really much you had the idea for. And he's a mole. You could literally give him digging abilities, and they didn't. So I'm sorry. Just for the thing that he was only one note, he could just stretch out his mustache, which we already had aliens that can stretch out limbs. He's a mole, and they didn't give him the ability to dig or go into the ground or anything else like that. I gotta put him in fuck go back. Yeah, but I don't hate him that much. I'll put him in D. The worst. Now, out of all the ones that were made for a joke, the worst is the only one to me that actually works for a joke. He's actually funny. Just because he's a super monotone guy. And his whole power is that he can't die or suffer any permanent damage. He can't get scratched, he can't get bruises, but he still feels all of the pain, which is adds on. This is the only comedy alien that actually works. I like him. Also, he's wearing tighty whities. I don't know why they made him wear tighty whities. The Omniturks made this guy wear tighty whities. Oh god. But I'm sure many people would be pissed off if I put him at C. You know what? Screw it. If I could put Wrath in S just because he's so entertaining, I'm going to put the worst in C just because he's entertaining. But not enough to put him in S. Kickin' Hawk. I like the fact that he's a martial artist and he's like Ben's best hand-to-hand combat alien. But he's a big bird. I like that. But I feel like he just wasn't that interesting. He wasn't terrible by all means. You know what? I'm being a little too harsh. I'm gonna put him in A. No, I'll put him in B. Okay. Toepick. Of all the aliens from Ben 10,000 that we finally got an appearance for, it was Toepick. And I think deep down most people wanted to see him because the whole line of like, even Toepick grosses me out. And it just thinks, what does this guy look like? Because Ben had gross aliens before. Ben didn't mind doing gross things with his aliens for a joke. What was so horrible about Toepick that his own son, Kenny, didn't want to use him? And they showed him off. He's a big fucking monster, and if you see his face, he's outright horrifying. But he doesn't really have that much to him besides gas, and he smells. But I'm gonna put him in C, just because we finally got to see what this guy looked like. Maybe he's not exactly what I would have gone for, but I still like him. Astrodactyl. Fuck, go back. Astrodactyl does not do it for me. He can fly, and he has whips. Laser whips. That doesn't really fit for what he looks like. If they designed him more off of his abilities, it really just feels like they just wanted to make an alien based on a pterodactyl. Which is fine, because pterodactyls are really fucking cool. Any dinosaur is fucking cool, but he doesn't really have that much of a justification. I'm sorry. Bullfrag. Bullfrag came after Kickin' Hawk, but Kickin' Hawk is apparently better than him in hand-to-hand combat. He finally got an alien with a singular frog-like tongue. The thing that Grey Matter, I think, should have had. And he is kind of cool looking. But there just isn't that much about him, besides the fact that he's cool. I mean, that's enough to save him from D. And I like the episode that he premiered in. I like that episode. So, Atomics. Atomics is just full on energy. He is literally just a fucking Dragon Ball character put into alien form. But I don't really like his dome head. I don't like his cone head. He looks kind of silly in that regard. And his voice. Whoa, I'm Atomics. I'm the strongest, apparently. I like Kiro, the artist version of Atomics from 5 years later. He was way cooler. But I still like the idea of Atomics. I like the fact that he's sort of fan service, because many fans also wanted to see what he looked like. Because all we knew about Atomics beforehand is that he was one of Ben's strongest aliens. And then we finally got to see him. His design was a little disappointing, but I'm going to put him in A. If his design was way better, I'd put him in S. But I do not like his design or his voice. His voice would fit for a better alien that's not meant to be one of the strongest. Then we got Gut Rot. Gut Rot, I love Gut Rot. I've been wanting Ben to use a gas-based alien that could use multiple different kinds of gas, like carbon dioxide and all that kind of stuff. I love what this guy can do. And sure, you could say, oh, he's just a joke alien. Not really. I don't think he's designed to be such. He was really fun with what he could do. And I think his stature is meant to sort of add on to that. Like, he's not too fast, he's not too powerful, but that's just because he could already do so much anyway. So I'm gonna put him in A. No, wait. I'm gonna put him in S. Make people mad. Vampire. His ability is just being a vampire. And also he can mind control people by spitting a thing into their head, which is kind of cool. It goes back to the more grosser aspects. But to me, in comparison to Blitzer Wolf and Frankenstrike and Snarrow, he doesn't really have that much visually. I feel like he's kind of boring visually in comparison to the other monster aliens, but I'll put him in C. Now we're in the reboot aliens, the 4 of them. Overflow. Now, a lot of people, when Overflow was first revealed, they essentially said, oh, he's just water hazard. He's just a bootleg water hazard. And for a while, I agreed. There are things to separate him, like he can breathe underwater, he can create water blades, but then they just got rid of him. Like, the reboot decided, hey, it's called Ben 10, he should only ever have just 10 aliens, so whenever a new season comes through, we're just gonna get rid of some that could be some kid's potential favorite, and just replace him with someone else. No kid literally cared. No kid literally went up about Ben 10 and be like, why is he on more than 10? Unless it was like a joke or something like that. Like, come on, man. Why does a reboot gotta do that? Why does the reboot gotta do that thing? So, just for the fact that they had the potential to show him as more than just a water hazard knockoff, but they didn't, and they just got rid of him as soon as he came. Gax. Out of all of the reboot aliens, Gax has to be my favorite. He's been something that many fans, including like even adult me, has been wanting for years, and for Ben to turn into a Vilgax, even if he only appeared in one episode. But you know what? That's still good, and I love the special that he's in. It's one of the more memorable things about the reboot. I like Gax. I like his design. I like how they took notes from Alien Force to have the eye lasers and how he's able to unravel his tentacles. Gax is really fucking cool. I like the story that goes with him. But at the same time, I do wish we had more screen time with him, like more episodes, like maybe more time for kids to be attached to him, since you love getting rid of them when kids are getting attached to them. Like, oh, I like this one alien I found in season 1, and he was replaced by one I don't really like. It's almost as if they shouldn't limit yourself based on a freaking title. But anyway, Gax is cool. I'm putting Gax in S. Shock Rock. Shock Rock's story was also pretty cool. Like, after a Gax's special, I think it's called Omnitricked, he was kind of spilling into the other alien canisters. But at the same time, it really just felt like, yeah, they were doing that just to make a toy line. I'm sorry. That's one thing I don't like about the reboot. It really feels like a lot of their decisions on, fuck, we need to make a new toy line. Give him weird, unnecessary space armor now. Just give him new transformations. No, man. Maybe the toys are good for kids. I'm not a kid anymore, so I wouldn't fucking know. I'm just a cynical, angry, alcoholic adult. So, what the fuck do I know? I do like Shock Rock since he's able to have electric abilities, more of his body a little bit. And he's still good, so I'm gonna put him in A. What is this guy? Quad Strike? Slapback? I don't even know his name. I don't like him. The whole idea about this alien is that he's able to multiply, and every time he multiplies, the duplicates shrink down and they become denser. But with such a stiff animation style, and such a boring art style, it doesn't translate like that. Especially since they don't even really utilize it that much. It just feels like, oh, we need an alien that can duplicate, probably for another toy. We could bring Ditto back, or Echo. Now we're just gonna make another one, and just probably have the worst design. Like, look at him. What is he even supposed to be? A bug? I don't know what he's supposed to be. I don't like him. Ah! Now, since they're here, let's go for Rox and Squid Stricter. Rox is an alien I'm sure a lot of people have been wanting. I don't think to this day Ben has an Earth-based alien. Maybe Shockrock is the closest thing. But it would be cool if they brought this guy back. And gave him, like, animated forms. He looks cool, but there isn't really much to him besides being a big rock. So I'm going to put him in C. Squid Stricter is the last one here. And I like the fact that he's a big octopus. I'm surprised, or a big squid. Octopus, squid, whatever, potato, I don't give a shit. I just love the idea of Ben turning into an octopus or something like that. I'm surprised they didn't do that sooner. I'm surprised that's not like one of the first ideas they had when the series was new. I like that. But anyway, so I'm going to put him in B. And that is everyone. Not including Zurge, the new Zurge alien from the Ben 10,010 special. He's just a big X. And I don't know much about him. And there was no image, so I can't rank him. And this did not include the ultimate forms or the enhanced versions, because this video would already be long enough. How long have I been recording? An hour? Jesus fuck. This is going to take a lot to edit. This is just supposed to be like a fun little thing. It probably wasn't even worth it, because I could feel my mouth clicking. And I don't want people to hear my mouth clicking during these videos. This was very on the spot. But you know what? I had fun. And I finally did it. And I let some of my opinions out there. That's good. Probably pissed a lot of people off. You know what? You can't base your entire internet personality off of not pissing people off. Because if you do that, your internet content is going to be boring as shit. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can do that thing such as subscribing, if you so choose. And have a wonderful day. Oh, fuck. The fuck did that come from? Oh, God. Guess that cough was just waiting to come out. Didn't want people to think I had the COVID.